Great. So now we're going to be able to start this talk. I'm extremely glad to have these three persons with me for this panel. And I can't wait to discuss about all the financial issues that cultural institutions are facing today, but also how they find solutions in order also to continue to be really engaged for arts, engaged for the community for which they're working. So if it's fine, I will first introduce the three speakers, and then I will let them really present their different institutions. First of all, I will introduce Ainhoa Grandes Massa, who's the director of the Fundación MACBA in Barcelona. She holds a degree in business administration and management from the UAC Barcelona. She specialized in cultural management and patronage, and she worked for 5 years at Sotheby's auction company in Barcelona, Madrid, and London. And from 1999 to 2015, she was the director of the MACBA Foundation, and today she is the president of this foundation. Our second speaker is going to be Dr. Khalid Khreis, who's the general director of the Jordan National Gallery of Fine Arts since 2002. He studied in Egypt, in Spain, in Italy, and Mexico. He holds a PhD in philosophy and art history from Barcelona University. That's why we said we could have done this in Spanish. He curated numerous exhibitions and held 18 solo exhibitions. He was awarded also the first prize for the John Miro International Contest and many other awards. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much. And finally, I introduce Véronique Rieffel, who has been the director of the Institut des Cultures d'Islam in Paris, and also of the Institut Français of Alexandria. She's been the curator of many different exhibitions. She specialized in Middle East and African art. And today she's opening a new gallery in Abidjan, specialized in contemporary art and design. So thank you very much all for being here today. It's a very complementary panel, I guess, but with different insights of the challenges today for running this kind of institutions. So first of all, I will let you, dear Ainhoa, if you can present us a little bit more about your foundation.
Thank you very much, Olivia, and thank you to the fair for inviting us, and to the Spanish Embassy for helping to organize it. And well, I just want to briefly explain a little bit what's MACBA and what's MACBA Foundation, which is part of the museum. First, the MACBA, which is the Museum of Contemporary Art in Barcelona, was opened in 1995 in the center of the old city of Barcelona, in a building of Richard Meyer, as you can see it here. With the objectives of disseminate contemporary art, developing critical thinking. And I think we can describe MACBA saying that we have a transversal vision of contemporary art. We try to speak about present subjects, social matters, immigration, but also we try to talk about poetry, literature, theater, everything related to contemporary art. And MACBA in numbers, more or less, if it's okay, we have like 330,000 visitors, 18,000 students. We loan a lot of artworks from our collection. We produce between 8 and 10 exhibitions per year. When I say we produce, it's because we normally produce the exhibitions and then we try to send them forward to other, because this is an important thing for financial ideas also, to send them to other museums. Then what's different in MACBA? Why MACBA is singular in Spain? Normally, Spanish museums are completely public. MACBA is a bit different because it has a foundation, a private foundation inside. MACBA is a partnership between 3 public institutions and one non-profit institution. We have the Barcelona Council, the City of Barcelona, we have the Catalan government, we have the Ministry of Culture of the government of Spain, and then we have MACBA Foundation. And to create the museum, we could arrive to this agreement, which was very unusual in Spain, but we found it the best way to make MACBA appear. And it was great because we decided that the 3 public institutions would pay for the day-to-day expenses, and the MACBA Foundation will purchase the collection. So that was the main idea of the creation of MACBA. Then, what's MACBA Foundation? It's a completely non-profit institution. It's composed by private people, by citizens from Barcelona. We have collectors, we have business people, intellectuals that form part of our trustees. We have 32 trustees, and then we have hundreds of individuals and companies that help us every year to pursue our task to develop the museum. So our first objective was to create, you can pass the wall, this is our trustees, to create the collection. So you have to think that when you start in a contemporary art museum, you start from nothing. So we need to buy works to open the museum, and that, for that we need money. So we need sponsors, and that was the objective of the foundation. So during the years, we had to do fundraising, a very strong fundraising, in Spain, not only in Barcelona, and that helped us to buy the collection. An important thing that I like to mention is that the foundation does not decide the works that we buy. That's the artistic director, the MACBA people and the MACBA team, the experts in art. They are the ones that decide the works that we buy. And what we do is, depending on the money we have reached every year, we can pursue or not the acquisitions. This is the growth of the collection during the last years. Gracias. Se me caen los papeles. As you can see, we are in more or less 5,600 works of art right now. So it's been quite important. We have purchased some of the works, but also we receive donations. So that's another important thing to take in account for the museums. How can you deal with the donations of works of art from collectors? And, sorry? Tactical error, okay. So I think we have another one. Well, I follow. In 2000, during the crisis in Europe, MACBA Foundation decided to support also educational and social programs. And it was also an initiative of the foundation, absolutely according with the MACBA team, with MACBA director. And then we started to do, to support all accessibility programs. Normally is a part of the museums that sometimes you don't put a lot of attention to all the people that need to understand the things, or that have problems of disability, and they, blind people, deaf people. Exactly, this program of accessibility is a very important program that was supported by the foundation. Then scholarships, we realized that the schools were not coming to the museum because children had to pay €1 for the bus to come from the school to the museum. So we found a company that helped us in paying those buses to come to bring the children, to bring the schools to the museum. Another program which is very popular and very important is the teachers' education. We offer and we teach. No me lo recojas, da igual. We create a program for teachers because also we realized that teachers didn't come to the museum because they found that contemporary art was very cryptic for them. So thank you so much. I'm gonna leave all this out. Thank you. The thing was that if the teacher doesn't understand what you are doing, they don't come with the children. So the idea was to prepare and to teach nursery, primary, and secondary teachers from different schools in Barcelona So if they feel confident about coming to a contemporary art museum, that, you know, pass to the children in some way. And if you pass that to the children, you pass to the parents also. So at the end, you are creating a net of people coming to the museum. And that was our way to attract more visitors to the museum. And at the end, Schools of Raval is also a very pushy program that we develop with the schools that surround our museum. And this is more or less what's MACBA, what we do, and the paper that the foundation has inside the MACBA. We are not the friends of MACBA. We are really part of the board of MACBA. It's not only the politicians and the government that has a voice inside MACBA, it's also the citizens, it's sponsors, it's collectors, it's people that is interested in contemporary art that is helping the museum from the inside.
Thank you very much, Ainhoa, for this example of private-public foundation that really helps in terms of sustainable economy also. We see how engaged you are. You addressed a lot of topics that we will talk about a little bit later, but now maybe if Dr. Khalid Khreis, you could present also your institution and its
pleasure.
challenges.
Thank you very much. The Jordan National Gallery of Fine Arts belong to the Royal Society of Fine Arts, which was established in 1979. So the Royal Society established the Jordan National Gallery in 1980. It's a non-governmental and non-profit organization. The aim of this museum is to create a platform for countries, let's say developing countries, to give them this platform to represent their artworks. Behind this, there is a great lady. Her name is Princess Wujdan Al-Hashimi. He had this idea, and she started with 77 artworks. And the people in that times, they say, oh, she will make a museum with the 77 artworks. Now, we are proud of our museum. We have more than 2,800 artworks in different fields of the visual art and plastic art from different countries like Asia, Africa, Middle East, all the Arab countries, let's say Pakistan, India, until we have from Japan also. Now we have a big exhibition about Asia also. The idea also to support the Jordanian artist, the Jordanian art, Arab artist also. And we did many exhibitions abroad. The first exhibition was in London in 1989, I think. The museum is playing now a very important role in the Society of Jordan Society, and in a level of Arab world. And we are now, or we have connection with or agreements with many institutions. We have with Spain, we had many collaboration with many institutions and with different countries. I will give you an example of one exhibition that we organized after 11th September to break the stereotype about the women in our area, the Breaking the Veils, women artists from Islamic world. This exhibition traveled to 25 cities in Europe, United States, and Australia. And these exhibitions are combined with the lectures, with debates, etc. We were lucky. It started in 2002 till 2010, traveling all the time. Also, we received many exhibitions from different countries. And at the same time, we have to make something important in our society. We have a project, we call it Touring Museum. We know that many Jordanians in villages, they don't have the opportunity to visit our museum. We started with a very important project. We call it Touring Museum. In 2009, now 10 years, we visited 390 villages till now. Consist with a van. We take a van. We converted this van in a mobile gallery. We go every Tuesday to visit a village with workshops also. We do workshop. We show the artwork from the gallery. And many people, they like this idea and they won't come to visit our gallery. But it's still, and I'm proud of this project because we work weekly, I mean, and it has its effect in the society. Also, we have programs with the, in cooperation with the Ministry of Education to allow the schools to visit our museum and universities also. We do many activities. We have many also projects for artists like art and nature. Every year we go to some place in Jordan and we stay for maybe 3 days or 3 nights to spend there, and we do workshop with the people from this area. We do also symposiums of sculpture symposium. The most important, I think, thing that we did last year, 2018, it's we create a platform, we call it Factory, Masna in Arabic, and consists of 4 projects: emerging art projects, residency, art residency, and curatorial program, and finally the public art. Public art, we call it in, out. And this is allowed the museum to open its door to the public. We go out to arrive to the people. Now we will have a first festival of public art on October, mid of October, in the area of Bolivar, Abdali, and Al-Webde. But not only in visual art. We do it in music, theater, literature, poetry, modern dance, performance. We did last year one, we call it In the Margin, and it was very successful. And the people, the young people, the youth, they want this. They need these platforms. So this is what we are doing in our gallery, plus the cultural activities and Huwar Art Club. Huwar Art Club, we organize every Saturday a debate, lectures, film screenings, etc. So the museum now is not these walls that present artworks. It's very active. We have our park also. This park offers many activities. We collaborate with artists, individuals, institutions to create a new atmosphere, new ideas, and to involve the society in art. We reach them and they reach to us. We have to do this, I think.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting to see how you're going beyond the barriers of the world to really reach the people who wouldn't come necessarily to your place. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you're financed, where your finances come from? Is it only from the government, or do you have investors who really believe in this engagement towards the community?
Our income consists in different types. One is earned income through the sales ticket, etc., and restaurants, coffee shop, rent some spaces in our the park, etc. The other one is grants, public and private grants, donations, and sponsorship. So.
You told me the Ministry of Sustainability.
The Ministry of Finance give us a small amount. It's a joke, you know, when we talk about the amount. But we look for a sponsorship to cover our activities, you know, with companies, banks, etc. And donations from people that they believe in art, and also from with our touring museum. We have a relation with the Ministry of Education, with the other institutions. So this is the way that how, and through we do also gala dinners, some auctions, etc. We have to fight because Jordan now, as in Lebanon or other places, we are facing a big challenge of economic challenge. Now, the people we have real, and we are facing a problem.
You see that more than ever, you have to find different finances in other, with other investors, other institutions.
Exactly.
I'll let you the microphone, Véronique, in order to introduce you to the Institut des Cultures de l'Islam, but also to the different projects you've been working on and the challenges you faced.
Okay, thank you very much, Olivia. Thank you for the BEIRUT Art Fair for the invitation, and thank you for you to be here. So, yeah, as Olivia said, I used to be the founder and first director of Institute of Culture of Islam. It's not the Institute of Arabic word because lots of people make the confusion. It's a different. It's an institution funded by Municipality of Paris in a very popular area in Paris called La Goutte d'Or, with lots of people with Muslim background, Muslim culture, Muslim religion, very different link to this civilization. So the aim of this institution was to, as in Amman, to also to struggle against stereotypes about Islam and to encourage better knowledge about Islam through exhibitions, through shows, workshop, symposium, conference, debates, lots of activities. So it's completely, totally financed by public funds for the moment. We were also encouraged to develop our own funds through workshop, Arabic lessons. We had also a restaurant, a hammam, who generate a little bit money, but the majority was public funds. Because in France, it's always the case. It's difficult. It's not in the French mentality to have institution. Now, yes, we have big.
A lot.
Yeah, we have big institutions like Foundation, Fondation Vuitton, Fondation Cartier for a long time. Which one?
And many museums realize now that they can not only count on public finances, but they will have to adapt.
Yeah. you could speak about this better than me because you know the subject. But of course, we were encouraged to generate other funds, our own crowdfunding also, sponsors for festivals, for very specific projects. But I have to say that the word Islam was not easy to make people understand that they have to give us money. Really, it was maybe the limit of this institution. That why I have to finance an institution talking about religion. So it was a big job to make people understand what it was about. It was not religious, it was cultural, it was artistic, but it's a universal subject, Islam. It's a patrimonial subject. So we have to speak a lot with people to make them understand that.
And the ambition was to create a better awareness and understanding about this?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, for instance, for the 10th anniversary of 9/11, we had a big symposium about Islam in the US, an exhibition also on lots of things, really to know how American Muslim live. So. And also for different programs, how is it to be a Muslim citizen in Western countries or subject like this, and also in Arabic countries, in Asia, in Africa. So yeah, the object was very interesting, very diverse, but also very touchy. Concerning the subject of financial
we see that for all of you today, it's really necessary to find the people who really want to engage and invest in culture, in your foundations, in your institutions. How do you convince them to be part of these projects? For what reasons do they finance that?
If I continue about Institute of Culture of Islam, as I said, we were located in a very popular area. So we organized also lots of social activities, and it was an important part of the job to reach people who were not used to go to see an exhibition or a concert or something. So through this social perspective, it was easier to find funds from foundations, from international organizations. And we also took in consideration the question of refugees. So we work a lot on this subject, and this was more easy to reach people with this perspective.
Imagine. Yeah. Yes, giving really meaning to your engagement. So maybe do you want to tell us about?
Well, we tell them. I mean, it's a bit different. Of course, if you are talking about Islam and different subjects. But in our case, we try to engage them in a city project. I mean, it's important for Barcelona, it's important for Spain, for Catalonia to have a museum of contemporary art. Also, if you support the collection, you're supporting the creation of a heritage for the future generations to understand what happened in these years, as they did in the Louvre or they did in other museums, the monarchies or the church. So we are trying to reproduce that in the present times. So, and also we try to do activities for them in the sense of trying to give them clues to understand contemporary art through the activities that the foundation organize for the sponsors. Absolutely, to get them involved. That's the idea.
Also understanding better these arts and being more engaged?
Absolutely. If you support contemporary art, you probably, if you come to MACBA, you see the exhibitions, at some point probably you will become a collector, you will go to the fairs, you will buy in the galleries, you will support young artists. So it's a kind of circle, and you're supporting the community in some way.
So do you think it's like the responsibility of your institution also to train some of the future sponsors, potential persons?
I believe in that, yes, absolutely.
And for yourself, Dr.
I believe the museums today, they have to play a very important role in society. developing of the social and political developing. Because now, also in the politics, we are talking about the environment, about problems that touch the society. So we go through these issues, no? Very important. Our problem, day a day, education, etc. So we have to convince these people who pay for this. And at the same time, we don't say pay for us and that's it. No, we have to recognize their effort. We have to do something for them, no? Because they are generous with us, and it's the cooperation between two parts, no? Each institution, each company, they have their different views, no?
Yes, but different reasons to be part of that and to defend art.
Exactly. So we have to go in this channel, no?
Adapting.
Exactly there.
And so it's interesting, your example, because you really said in the board you have people from these potential sponsors and people who are not from the museum world necessarily, but who are really engaged. Do you think this is a way also to make sure that the museum or the foundation is adapted to how the society is evolving?
I think so, because, you know, public museums have a lot of politicians on the boards. And normally the politicians change every 4 or 5 years. So the foundation is always there. I mean, and the only objective of the foundation is to support the museum and to get funds and help and helping ideas. Sometimes ideas go out from the foundation. In the sense, for instance, I can put an example that we asked the museum to get a consultant firm to see if the expenses of the museum were right or not. And, you know, that was something difficult. The politicians would never have thought about it. But we said, okay, we want really to know how efficient the museum is. So are we spending our budget correctly? And it was great, because we discovered we could do things like putting the shop in another place would get more revenue if you put it in the, I don't know, in the way out instead of in the way in, or something like, you know, those simple things that if you do an analysis of the institution would help. And that there wasn't a sponsor from the foundation. So I think it's a good idea to be in the board and help on that.
But we see also that then, what are the limits of this exterior board and this exterior expertise that can be really something very good for the institution because it's a different point of view, but how much do you accept? Would you accept for them, for instance, in your museum, to have a point of view on the artists you defend, on the artworks you acquire?
Well, talking about the limit always is the director. I mean, he's the person that leads the museum, and in the board you can make suggestions, you can, I don't know, make reflections about how the museum should be managed, but you know, the limit is his. I mean, we have get him, I mean, he's the person that is leading the institution, and to me the limit is the director and his team. We have to respect their opinion and their limits.
Did you have similar issues?
I agree with you, because this is very important. The director and the team, they know more than about their problems, and they have the view, no, for the future, etc. So we have to convince them and to give them a challenge, no, and to draw our plan, no, exactly. I mean, this is very important.
So you don't have so much pressure sometimes to change a little bit your vision or your strategy through the funds that arrive?
In our case, no. No. In our case, no. They come and we have a meeting. We said this and this and this. And they believe in what we are doing. But it's difficult. It's not easy. I mean, to find finance to the museum, it's very difficult. I work as a director, and at the same time, we have to look for sponsors. We have to go for our projects, etc. When sometimes, if you ask me if we have an external helps, or sometimes if I take an exhibition to some countries outside, for example, to Europe, we look for a sponsor to sponsoring this exhibition, this project. So we go for projects, and we said, look, this it needs this. But the problem is with the running cost annually. No, this is a big challenge, because you are afraid all the time. You look for the staff, for the museum. We have to cover this, and all the time you are not.
More difficult to convince for internal.
Exactly, and the governments all the time with crises like in Jordan, all restrictions, and they cut the budget every year. No, because for them culture is the. For us, for example, in Jordan, the lowest budget is in the Ministry of Culture. Like everywhere in Arab world, I mean, no? And this is a big problem. But thanks to people who, from the private sector, that they believe in art, in culture, without them, we cannot survive.
And we were talking about you had public funds, essentially. Doesn't mean that you didn't have pressure also maybe to adapt or to do things. Did you have like that some orientations given by the people who financed the Institute?
No, I have to say that I was very lucky. I had no pressure, because it was experimental. So we have this freedom of expression, and it was very precious, because it was rare. I think it was the only one place in Paris where we can have this deep conversation, this deep reflection about Islam. So I was very lucky. Maybe now it will change, because it's very political. So it depends on the mayor, on the councillor around, so on many people, on many things. But at this time, now it was between 2005 and 2013. Maybe it has changed a little bit. It's more, maybe a little bit more consensual because of the political context, but not because of the funds themselves.
It's interesting to see that finally you were saying you have this stability and freedom as a foundation at MACBA, because people are staying. Whereas when you depend so much on the public funds, it's very political and very fragile, finally.
And for instance, I speak very very frankly. This institution was the idea of the ancient mayor, and now he's not here. He's not here anymore. It's a different mayor, and because it's just she was not. She didn't agree with the project. So the institution was supposed to host another building, and it was cancelled. So, she preferred to spend money in other projects. So it was cancelled. So instead of 2 buildings, there is just one, and the little one.
What you were saying about Jordan and the fact that you have to defend each project, and maybe they will choose one.
We have to defend every project, but we have at the same time our acquisition of art. So nowadays, with the auctions, what is happening in the Gulf, they push the prices of the Arab art, no? For us as a museum, we cannot support that. We cannot
afford these artworks anymore.
But thanks.
No, you have to hold it this way.
Yeah. Now, thanks to generosity of some artists, I will give an example. For example, there is a Hussein Madi, a Lebanese artist. He came to us to visit our museum 3 years ago. He met with the president, Princess Wujdan, with me, and suddenly he decided to give the museum 136 artworks, between sculpture, paintings, prints, etc. When we asked him, why you do this? He said, because I believe in you, in your institution, because you are doing a lot for the Arab art. So I believe in this, I do this. But this is because this artist is very generous and very intelligent at the same time, because his heritage, it's well saved, and we will introduce him in around the world, I mean, and we'll keep this heritage for the young people, for the generations after generations. Another example, the Moroccan artist Hashimi Azza, with 168 artworks. So when you see this, you say, look, this is very important, because the museums, finally, we are not, non-profit. This art, it will be for the generations.
You're building
for
heritage
all.
for the future.
Exactly. And this is a very intelligent way, and this is very generous to say 136 artworks. Now we will put his name in one space of our, with honor of our, in our museum, I mean. We are proud to have his work, and this is an example, and many artists, they will follow him. And this is, together we can work on this.
Do you have these kind of collaborations at MACBA also to help you sometimes gather artworks that are really important, but maybe too expensive today for your institution?
Yes, of course, we try to get some of these kind of artworks that if it's not a donation, it's very difficult to purchase with our budgets. But regarding the limits that you told about, it's very important to put limits also to the sponsors or to the donators, because sometimes they say, okay, I'm going to give you all these works of art, but I want a red building, and your museum is white. And you say, okay. So you have to put also limits, and you have to arrive always to an agreement with the donor or with the sponsor. I'm a car sponsor, and I want to put a car inside the museum. You say, no. I mean, it's very important that you sponsor this exhibition, but you have to put the limits on that. And that's something that all museums discuss. I mean, we need the money, we need the sponsors, but you have to put some limits, and that's an idea to have in account.
And even what you were saying about testing the efficiency, which is completely normal and a good approach, and at the same time, how was it felt by the team inside the MACBA, how they consider this approach?
When you're public and the government is giving you the money, everything seems easy. You have a big budget, you have a big team, you receive every year the money, you don't have to fight for that, you don't have to do the fundraising, convincing people. Then everything seems to be quite easy, as I said. When you ask for efficiency, everybody looks at you like, what does it mean? Say, okay, which are the processes you are using? Are you using too much people to do that? Or, and the cost of everything. At the beginning, the team was a little bit afraid, but then they understood why we were asking for that. And it was a very good exercise for everybody. I mean, everybody thought about their department, about their budgets, about what they were doing.
And their organization.
The organization itself. And it went very, very, very well.
And from what you all said, I really see that in order to engage people and find the finance, you have to find a why, the meaning of what you're doing, the way you're engaging with the community. Is it something that you really think about, that you've been developing in order to reach other sponsors, explaining why some people are investing?
People want to know where they put their money. So it's an important part of the job now. You know, before, in the past, when you were appointed director, it was for your knowledge of art, or I don't know, but now you have to be a manager and you have to know how to speak with these people, and it's really important now.
So your ability to convince people to come with you in the adventure?
Now you can see when there is a job offer for a director, you have to know that the subject, you know. I don't know if it's the same in...
I mean, we have to convince them. We have to tell them that this money, it will go to the people in the right way. This is what we do. And there's a transparency. If you are transparent, you don't have any problem. But to convince them, it costs.
I think we have to make a difference between philanthropy and sponsoring. Philanthropy is much more difficult. Fortunately, you have very good philanthropists, and they give you money for nothing. I mean, they give you money because they believe in what you are doing. They believe in contemporary art or in Islamic art or in fine arts in your country. They believe in the city, they believe in the country, they believe in the idea. So that's pure philanthropy. Then inside the ESG of many companies, you have a sponsorship of cultural issues. And then that's another way to get them engaged. Because they have to do it, because they're interested in, or it's a kind of image washing, I don't know. But if it's good money, if it's a good company, you can accept that, and it's okay with the limits that we were talking about before.
There is different reasons for a company also to be investing, and not only for the meaning itself. I don't know if maybe here today you have some questions you will ask to ask also to go further.
Yes, of course. I just want to say that we have to work a bit like the US. You know, when you donate money, even as a philanthropist, you get something back. You have like a shelter for taxation, which we don't have in the Arab world. And that will help us a lot in the Arab world to raise money because it has to be a win-win situation in everything. And the fact that we don't have any incentive for people to give large amount of money to foundations or to, like, I'm working for a museum now that we are raising money. So it is something that we need, like, you know, you cannot just rely on the goodwill of people. You need to give them something back, especially the more money they give. They need to give something back other than their name on the door or, you know, the name on the collection, etc. So.
Just an example that I had a few years ago when a very important company like Vinci decided to fund Versailles for some restorations. And it was very interesting to discuss with them because they said when they funded, it was not so much for the image. Of course, it's very good, Versailles. But it was also because it was a company buying a lot of other companies at the time. And it was difficult for them to give all these new employees the feeling to be part of one and only institution or company. And so they decided also to do that and to give free entrance for all the employees and the families and things like that. Yeah. So it was very interesting to see that the main reason they were doing this and funding this was not that much for the external image, but for their internal image. And maybe there are things like that also that have to be imagined, because we always have one and only idea of what is motivating a company, a sponsor, and not just a philanthropist.
That's why I think we have to work with each company or each sponsor or each philanthropist one-on-one. You know, they have their needs, and we need to see how this project answers their needs.
To listen to them,
yeah,
and
you have to adapt. You cannot just have one, you know, product for everyone. It has to be adapted.
Thank you. I mean, I completely agree with you. I've been doing fundraising for 20 years. In a very few occasions, the sponsor asked me about taxes. So, and I completely believe in the American model. I think that's what we should do. But you have to engage in another way. I mean, it's more a partnership. And that will change in the future, I think. And in your case, I think, I believe that things are changing. We have to believe in institutions, foundations, museums, sustainable, because it's going to be difficult that the governments in this area or everywhere, also in Europe, will maintain the subsidies to the cultural institutions, especially when the crisis arrives. Culture always is the last. So now I think that the future is to make our institutions to be more sustainable with our own incomes, with the shop, with the coffee, with the tickets. In Spain, we have, for instance, the Dalí Museum. The Dalí Museum is 100% private funding, and they have revenues of millions every year. They have very high cost also, but the result is always positive. El Prado, they are now in a 70%. They have their own sources, and 70%. On the contrary, 30% is subsidized. But they have, increased that now. So we have to change the model.
Public-private.
Public-private. It has to be more private and own sources. The museums have to think a little bit more like a company and to try to get sources from itself.
One of our French ministers was saying not long ago that culture is not so much only soft power, but really hard power. Because today, it's really participating in the society completely, creating jobs, bringing another kind of sustainable economy. So maybe also we have to be aware of that, and in that case, approach companies and other potential finances differently. If you agree with that.
May I ask Dr. Ramzi Dalloul is here with us, and he's a very big collector, and he created a foundation. Your opinion, please.
Thank you, Dr. Khreis. This is what we are doing is an example. Is it on?
Yes, but you have to hold it like that.
Okay, you hear me now? Yeah. This is an example of a private initiative, very private initiative at this stage, but it is a large private initiative which fortunately has been financed by the founder, and it is the objective is to start an Arab collection covering the entire Arab world. I mean, countries like starting from Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Sudan, the Arab East, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, and the Saudi Peninsula, the Arab Peninsula, and the different countries on the periphery. And so far, we have collected 4,200 paintings, but we paid for all these paintings, and it was quite an expensive undertaking. And again, because it is a private initiative, we did not need outside support or subsidies, but I think when we want to implement the entire vision of this activity, we will have to veer in the direction of private, the majority that is, private-public initiative. I agree with that approach. And I think this is a big challenge to develop the museum really as a private corporation from the point of view of raising funds for the activities of the museum. Primarily, the funds that are needed are the operating funds of the staff, and we have staff. We have a force of 7 highly qualified ladies and young men, and this is also very important. And then the space and whatever goes under operating expenses, and then the process of adding to the collection itself, because as you all know, the process of building a collection is a dynamic process. You have to be up to date in your collection. Our collection is described as a modern and contemporary collection of Arab art, of all Arab art, and we have to be up to date in this, which means that we have to allow and allocate resources for additions. We are in the initial stages of this process. Fortunately, we have laid down the infrastructure of a museum in terms of the major building blocks like archiving, photographing, sifting, and assuring that all the paintings are original and genuine and out of the realm of forged or copied paintings. This is very important in this part of the world, because it seems to me as the prices of paintings have grown up and increased, people who forge paintings have also increased, because it seems to me that this is a good business. I want to say something about those whom we approach for contributions or for subsidies. I think one would have to emphasize the fact, and this is a process of educating the masses, the people who can help, that museums have a role to play in the historic perspective. And this process is to identify and to define the identity of the people, the nation, the society that it is present in. And to me, this is very, very important. As a matter of fact, it is the most important element in this process of trying to find resources to assist and help develop the activities of such fantastic educating instruments, which I call the museums.
Thank you very much for. I'm really sorry to stop you there, because I think you're completely right. It's really training the future generations, building the heritage for the future is essential, in order also for the people, the local people, to be able to really take this duty themselves and develop these museums themselves with their own point of view.
I'm saying this because I have noted.
The other talk will start.
I've noted that we are veering away from the main, motivating force that would allow people to contribute. This is just a correction. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this insight into your collection and your work. That is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to you all for being part of this panel. It was really insightful. Thank you. Thank you.